That's why you think UFO disclosure is going on?
Well, that and they can't contain it anymore.
I don't share that opinion.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're covering for some very sophisticated drone technology. That's what I think. I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Either
boring.
maybe, but I think it doesn't exclude UFOs.
No.
This is my perspective. This is, and again, I'm not married to this at all. This is just something that I have in my head. But I believe that human beings right now are capable of propulsions. I think we have drones that operate on a completely different propulsion system than standard, rocket fuel fire pushes out the back and the thing goes forward very fast like a jet engine.
Bob Lazar shit?
Yeah, Bob Lazar shit. Exactly. I think they have that. And I think they've figured out a way to engineer that. The question is where'd they get it, right? And that's where I think UFOs come into play.
So, like, you think that what was seen by the Nimitz is all ours?
It could be, because it's where it would be.
But then why would they disclose themselves?
Well, I think they found it and they reported it and they did what they had to do, and they didn't really talk about it publicly for many years later. There wasn't a big news story. I mean, Commander David Fravor, when I spoke to him, and it was first of all, the guy is as rock solid a military man as you're ever going to talk to.
Sure.
Just by the book, disciplined fighter pilot. Those guys are like detail oriented. They don't fuck around. This guy's not making up stories about other shit. And when he describes this thing and what they saw, and then there's multiple pilots that see it, and then there's a visual. They have video of this thing moving off at an insane rate of speed. They have radar imagery that shows it goes from above 50,000 feet above sea level to like 50 in a second. They don't know how the fuck it did it. It goes to their cat point. So it leaves them once they see it, and it jets off to this point, this predetermined coordinate where they were supposed to meet up as a part of their training run. So how the fuck does it know their cat point? Like, what is, and where it is, right? It's off the coast of San Diego. San Diego's a big military area, right? And it's where they do testing, and it's where they were doing the training runs with those jets. That's why they saw it in the first place. If I was going to have a thing and I was going to test it, I would want to know, like, what can we see? How much do our equipment show? What does our equipment show? Can we see these things? Ryan Graves, who is another very reputable fighter jet pilot, he had his encounters when they upgraded their technology in 2014. So they upgraded all the sensors that allow them to detect things in the sky. And when they did that, he started seeing these things. They're dead still at 120 knots. Makes no sense.
Right.
They started seeing these things. I always fuck this up. It's a cube in a circle, right?
Yes.
Right. So it's a black cube inside some sort of a translucent circle that multiple fighter pilots have reported.
Yeah.
And the idea of some sort of gravity distorting thing, one of the features of that, they think, would be it would look very strange. Like, it would look very strange to you, like what you see. And if we have some sort of a gravity distorting drone that operates on a gravity propulsion system, like somehow manipulates gravity so it can move at insane rates of speed, I think that's where I would test it. I would test it where the military guys are. I would test it in restricted airspace. I would test it in place, and I would say, okay, let's find out if these guys can see it now. Now we have new equipment. Put the new equipment in their jets. Let's see if they can see these things.
The concerning thing about that is if it was done by our own government, I worry that they're trying to set up for a false flag.
Like a false UFO flag?
Yeah. Like if...
An alien invasion to lock down our rights? Dun, dun, dun.
I mean, if they could stage it.
Sure.
Because, I mean, with what you're describing, no one would assume that that's human.
Right.
No one. And
no one except for people that have followed the Bob Lazar story. Because
yeah,
if they were back engineering that thing in 1989, as Bob says...
That's true. It's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago.
Wow.
That's a long time. And for them to have 35 plus years of working on that, so you got to go back to how long did they have it? He said they've had it for decades. So, but I think what he was saying back then was they really weren't making any progress. They were trying to figure it out. They kept bringing in new people to try to have fresh eyes, and
right.
That's why they brought him in. but they really don't fucking know. They said they didn't understand how it worked. And they were trying to get some sort of a working model of it. But they were able to operate it. And that's what he was able to observe, and that was one of the reasons why he got in trouble, allegedly. Where when he got fired, he brought people. They said, listen, I'm not crazy. Let me show you. They have fucking UFOs. I'm going to show you this thing.
Right, he brought the people.
Yeah, he brought people, and those people all said the same thing. They all saw, and people have filmed it too. They actually had to increase the restricted space around Area 51 because people were going to a very particular vantage point, and they were filming some of these things. So there's footage of these bizarre crafts that seem to be moving through the sky in a way that no conventional aircraft can do. We don't really know what they are. And we're assuming there's some kind of a drone or something. But I think if you go to 1989 and they have those things, and then if you have all the money in the world, which they essentially do, they could print money.
Right.
You have black ops projects. You have things that we, because of national security interests, we have no idea what they're doing or how they're doing it. And then you get some of the best physicists in the world, some of the best propulsion experts in the world, and you throw an ungodly amount of money at this problem every year for 30-plus years. Then you develop these things. And I think that's one of the reasons why they would probably keep it secret, because I would imagine that money was moved around in probably an illegal way.
Yeah, I mean, without congressional oversight, there's no legal way to do it.
Exactly, right? So if these guys were doing that and they were funding this secret military project that they kept from Congress, they kept from, who knows who's qualified to be able to see these things. But if I had something like that, that's the best cover story in the world. We have observed crafts that are not from this world. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, that explains everything.
That's insufficient to me.
To me too.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
It is fun.
Both of them are fun. And I think both of them, listen, the universe is fucking huge. We exist. We send things to other planets. There is a rover right now on Mars, right? We send James Webb telescope into space. We send rockets. We do that. We would assume an advanced civilization would do that as well.
Of course.
And we would assume that if an advanced civilization was interested in studying something, we are some of the most fascinating creatures that have ever existed at least as our understanding on Earth. We're the most fascinating by far. As weird as sharks are and all this other stuff is, we're the fucking weirdest. We're the weirdest and we're the craziest to study.
Right.